welcome back. ABOG, the OGAB. What's going on?
Holy crap, man. What's it been, like 2 weeks?
Always feels like an eternity, but yep, 2 weeks.
You guys. We got lots to talk about this week, I think.
Yeah, we got a dandy. In this episode, Nintendo's online expansion pass. All the details about that thing. Sony Interactive Entertainment looking to go mobile. We'll share what's in our pint glasses, of course. And we've got Shane souping up his PS5. NHL 22.
Whoa.
The annual $60 expense for Shane.
Yeah, I wish, man.
That's like 80 in Canada dollars, right?
Oh, gee. Yeah, it's gnarly out nowadays.
90 Golf Club Wasteland by Karl. So some good games to talk about here. Thank you for joining us. You can listen to our past episodes, and you should. They're amazing. You can check those out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, Pandora, or even on YouTube if you want to stare at a blank image and listen to us. But hey, you know, it's there.
And it's easeady.
Yeah.
A lot of folks like the YouTube podcasts.
YouTube does music too, you know. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, but I'm a YouTube premium subscriber because I hate their damn commercials that just show up in the middle of the most awkward time possible when you're watching a video.
True.
And they've got their whole music service on there. So that's a thing. You fire up your YouTube and you listen to music. So hey, why not listen to a podcast too? Right?
Yeah.
We're looking out for you. I'm Joel, your MC, recording in Brookfield, Wisconsin. That's in the USA, kids. Joining me on this podcast journey, my two best mates. First of all, from Birmingham, England, level 43, it's Karl. Hey, Karl, what does that mean? Explain.
What do you mean, what it means?
I know what it means. We know what it means. Tell the audience what it means.
I don't know.
Well, in the world of Twitter, you know, we don't get older. We don't have birthdays. We level up. And yeah, this weekend I leveled up, hit level 43. You know, it's
the hell?
I know. Yeah, right.
You can't tell anybody? Like, jeez, well, happy birthday, man.
Yeah, happy birthday to Karl.
Oh, thanks. It's nice. You know, the stats have gone up, you know, wisdom, intelligence, charisma, you know, they just keep on raising. Stamina down.
Yeah. Lose points in strength, stamina, hair.
I'm now encumbered, you know, a bit more weight on the
metabolism.
Metabolism. Yeah. It's a good one.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, just had a nice chilled weekend, nice meal. We had a bit of a giggle, like, you know, just good fun. Saw the lad and my folks and stuff. So it's just nice, simple, quiet one, and a few beers.
Brilliant.
As always.
Sounds pretty good. From Vancouver, Canada, the other voice you hear there, frostbitten, twice dangled. It's Shane. Hey, Shane.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, man. So what's happening? I did not have a birthday this weekend. I don't usually have birthdays.
No?
So
give up on those?
Yep. Yeah, we're done.
I think you skip them altogether. You don't age, right?
One every 2 years.
Is that how that works?
Right? Yeah. I know a guy's got a leap year birthday, but it's just weird. So if you have a leap year birthday, you're weird.
You're weird. I like that. Let's get into it. Nintendo Switch Online expansion pass. I got some reading to do here, boys. Whoa.
Let's go.
All right. Nintendo Switch Online adds expansion pass. They talked about this a while back, but they've now given us all the details. It's that new service that you need to play those N64 and Sega Genesis games.
Yep.
If you want to play those. They also put online in their store an N64 controller and a Genesis controller that you can play on your Switch. The N64 controller sold out in a matter of minutes. Disappointing. I would have loved to have had one of those. I'm a fan. Right. I'm a fan of the N64. I like that awkward controller. Back then, it was pretty good. It was the first analog sticks, right?
True.
First analog stick. The one stick.
Yes.
Yeah. Paving the way, as always. So the expansion...
the buttons, too, they had on there, I think, as well. Not just the stick. There's buttons. There's color-coded buttons. They had the Rumble Pack?
The Rumble Pack.
They also in that controller, I believe.
They had the trigger. It's almost like you're holding...
the underneath.
Yeah, like holding a gun, sort of like the way they had that thing kind of set up. I don't know. I would have liked to have. I would have liked to have gotten one of those controllers. Take it all the way back. Play those N64 games online on the Switch with the proper controller.
Pawning noobs.
So the pricing. So Nintendo Switch Online's already been around for a while. That's what you need to play your games online. You get your cloud saves. You also get the NES and the SNES games as part of that service. And that's pretty awesome. There's lots of good NES and SNES games in there and keep putting new ones pretty frequently. Pricing for that individually was $3.99 a month, $7.99 for 3 months, or $20 for 12 months. That's US dollars, probably much more in Canada.
Sure.
And I don't know what the conversion in Karl's neck of the woods there in England.
Be like £2 or something.
But that's the US dollars. Family, you could also get a family plan, which is up to 8 family members, which is what I did. My wife and I both have a Switch. That's 12 months for $35. Not bad.
Still decent.
Yeah, not bad. And you can add 8. I mean, that's no other service that I'm aware of, including Sony's and Xbox's, lets you add family members for just an additional couple dollars. My wife and I both have PlayStation accounts. They both cost $60. There's no break there. So I like how Nintendo gives you that opportunity. It's a family console, right? You can add your kids.
Yeah.
Now they've got Switch Online plus the expansion pass. The pricing for this now is for an individual. It's 12 months for $50 or $49.99, which is an additional $30 above where they were. Is that right? Yep, $30 more than the $19.99. And then you get this expansion pass with it. That, again, N64, Sega Genesis games. And also the Animal Crossing's New Horizon Happy Home Paradise they just announced is you can buy that separately or it's included with the expansion pass. And they announced all the expansion pass details in the Animal Crossing Direct.
Not weird at all.
Just kind of, they kind of threw it in there.
No.
And they announced this new content, Happy Home Paradise. And by the way, if you get the expansion pass, that's included. So you don't have to pay the whatever it would cost without the expansion pass. And then for a family plan expansion pass, and this is bundled, Nintendo Switch Online and the expansion pass, you get a family plan for $79.99, which is an additional $45 from the $34.99 in US. There are prorated options available. So for someone like myself who already has Nintendo Switch Online, I can add the expansion pass. I'm assuming it'll just do the math, add in that additional difference between the bundled price. So I've got the family plan, $34.99. If I add the expansion pass, it's $80 for a year. They'll prorate that $45. So depending on when my renewal occurs with my Nintendo Switch Online, which for me just happened a month ago. So they're gonna take that dollar difference, the $45, and prorate it over the 12 months. I think. No, that ain't right. No, they'll take the $45. For me, it'll probably be a full $45 because I just renewed. But if you were maybe towards the end of your term, you'll be a little less than $45. Makes sense? I probably just confused everyone.
Absolutely.
No, it's crystal clear.
No, it's
absolutely crystal clear.
Why can't they just? I mean, this is like, oh yeah, you can get, you pick your toppings and want. Oh, by the way, Goo Caramel is extra. Why don't they just bundle it all in? Bundle it all in. Why does there have to be all these separate tiers for everything now? Just bundle it in. One great price. You get all the goodies. Hey, guess what? January 1st, it's going up. People be renewing now, getting in there. Be brilliant.
That's a good idea rather than having the expansion pass. They are bundling it together. So whether or not Switch Online will be available after a few months from now, or if you're only going to be able to get both together, that I don't know. But I agree. Just give us those games now, and when the next time, January or something, it now costs more.
Yeah.
I like that. It's free for a little bit, but then when you renew or whatever, it's going to go up.
Yeah, and there'll be people jumping on it, getting it now early, which is going to boost prescription services.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can. What is that? Palmer, help me out here, bud.
You mean stack it? Do you mean?
Yes, stack it. I mean, you probably can't stack it on the Nintendo service.
I don't know.
Well, you can put it into that. Just just don't let people stack it. Hey, you buy it now. You got a year of this. Hey, you got it at a fucking deal or whatever. Great. The next time, then you'd be paying the full pop.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, talking about full pop. I mean, what do you think of this price wise?
I think it's less than PlayStation Plus and it's less than Xbox Live. So it brings Nintendo more in line with those two services, and it's still cheaper.
Yeah.
So from that perspective,
I'm just going by the individual, not the family. The family is,
right.
Keep it. I mean, I think great. Keep that separate. Because of the fact that you have the, up to 8 accounts on there. That's great and all. But as the individual $49.99, I think that's a great price for it.
Don't know. It just seems like it's just stretching that. Like, previously it was decent value, wasn't it? Especially the family plan.
Sure.
But I think you're kind of accepting that, you're not paying as much as you are on the other consoles, but there's no voice chat integration. There's no, it's kind of like online light, basically. The server stability isn't great for some games and stuff like that. So I don't know. It seems like whacking 80% on to play N64 games and Genesis games seems a little steep, but I guess they got to pay for those old games somehow, right?
Yeah, but it's. I mean, you break it down. I mean, that's what $4.38 a month.
Yeah, they might be paying some licensing fees potentially for some of those old Sega Genesis games. Some of that.
Still, I mean, it's
for
a year, $49.99 for a year is not a bad value to get. For Nintendo. I don't know. What do I know?
I don't know.
And you get the expansion pass for Animal Crossing, which is weird. But
it just seemed like, the SNES and NES games they're a little bit of a gimmick. I think that they're great. It's wicked to have them there. And every now and again, if you fancy playing one, it's like, I'm going to jump and play the original Mario Kart or something.
True.
It's a nice for nostalgia and stuff, but I don't know how much you should actually get out of it. Most people have got a backlog that's ridiculous anyway. It just seems a little steep.
Well, have they said, kind of where we're starting with, with which N64 games are going to be available?
I'm glad you asked, Shane. They're starting with Dr. Mario 64.
Okay.
Mario Kart 64.
Good game.
Decent.
Mario Tennis, which I thought was amazing on the 64.
Classic.
Sin and Punishment, which previously was not available in the US. I think it was on the Wii store at one point, but Sin and Punishment wasn't an N64 US title back in the day. That's going to be in there.
Cool.
Star Fox 64. Another great game. Super Mario 64, Legendary. Ooh. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time is in there. Winback, Covert Operations, which I remember more as a PlayStation game. Apparently it was out on the 64 as well. And Yoshi's Story, the little platformer.
Not
a bad list. And they're going to be adding more titles over time. They haven't announced what the time frame is. And it's not like Sony and Microsoft where every month they add titles. It's this constant, consistent delivery. Here it's probably more at whatever timetable they decide, and probably not a consistent monthly release, but at some point they'll plop some more. And I know that with the NES and the SNES games too. You fire up that app and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, they added a bunch of games. It's the NES and SNES though, it's very clumsily designed. When you open up that app and you want to play those NES games, they show you the box art, which is kind of cool, but you have to scroll down to find the game you want. It's not like it's alphabetic. It's not like I don't even know if you can search. It's becoming kind of clumsy. It's neat though, because you see the box art. So you're kind of going through memory lane as you're trying to find the game that you want to play. And just like the NES and SNES games, you've got your quality of life improvements, like putting your console to sleep and picking up and resuming right where you left off, which is excellent for these old games, and multiplayer online. So I'm assuming Mario Kart 64, you're going to be able to play with your buddies online. That's kind of nice.
That's pretty cool.
Are you in yet, Karl? Are you still too pricey for you?
It still, I don't know. Still feels a little on the. I guess once you paid it and then you play a few of these, you might be like, yeah, it's okay, it's decent, but it still just seems a little bit of a, I don't know, a money grab, I guess. But I might be, who knows? I might be convinced otherwise further down the line when they had a few more games. There are some good ones on the list. But yeah, I don't know.
That's a good way to preserve their legacy. To always have these available.
I wish it was something more like, on Xbox and PlayStation where, if you're subscribing at the time that they're on there, you own them as long as you've got an active subscription, whereas, they could take these off and, it doesn't feel like the same. I guess there's less incentive to remain subscribed for the long term, but yeah, I'm sure it'll work for them. They're not short of making money, are they?
No, not at all. Now let me read these Sega Genesis games, Karl, and see if you
here we go.
Get more interested. This is a pretty impressive list. Castlevania Bloodlines.
Ooh.
Contra Hardcore.
Fantastic game.
Very good game.
Superb Contra game, dude.
Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Actually, a very fine game also.
All right.
Yeah, trust me on that one.
Yeah.
Echo the Dolphin, which hasn't really aged well. Golden Axe. No. Loved it back in the day. Now I cannot stomach that game whatsoever. Gunstar Heroes.
Classic.
Musha, acronym for something. Not familiar with that game. Phantasy Star 4, The End of the Millennium. Rystar. Shining Force. Karl, Shining Force.
Right.
It's an RPG.
Yeah. Good game.
Shinobi 3. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Streets of Rage 2.
Ooh.
Probably the best Streets of Rage before maybe this latest one.
True.
2. And Strider, which was a very expensive Genesis game back in the day.
Right.
Totally paid an extra $20 or something for that cartridge when that came out. Oh, yeah.
There you go. Solid list.
Yeah.
And who doesn't want Ristar, right?
The Ristar, fan club screaming at their YouTube, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of people have probably played a lot of these games already. It doesn't mean that they're not great. Like Streets of Rage 2 still holds up brilliantly. Like I'll still play that at least 2-3 times a year. That'd be great. Like it's great to have on demand and all the rest of it. Maybe who knows? Maybe if there's a little sale on the online upgrade, see what I can do. But yeah, otherwise I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm ecstatic.
What could they add that would seal the deal for you? Or is it maybe just price point? Like if it was like $10 lower, $39.99, would it be more attractive? Or is there a service that they're missing
if
that
they could
really use?
Well, if they could add International Superstar Soccer on the Super Nintendo and then the N64 version as well. ISS 64 was wicked. Like with the first one, the graphics are like 3D. But yeah, if they added those, I'd probably consider that. I mean, I own those already, but why not?
All right.
I like that the Switch it's the retro machine now, right? I mean, you've got your NES, your SNES, tons of titles in there. Now you go get N64, Sega Genesis. I mean, you can put those old consoles away. You can't hook them up to the TV now anyway, right? They don't unless you have one of these newer ones that you can use to emulate the old ones.
I don't know.
Or put the cartridges in. You can play them on PC too.
He's playing them on PC.
Mm.
You can't do that.
You can. It's totally fine. Kotaku said it's fine.
I mean, you can if you own the game. If you own the cartridge, you can, right?
True.
Yeah.
Man, what am I going to do with all these SNES minis, man?
You still got a closet full of SNES minis?
Basically, yeah. I hold on to them, 20, 30, 40, 60 years, who knows?
Great.
He's on the throne of them.
Pretty close, buddy.
I'm fine with personally. I'm fine with the pricing. It really amounts to whether or not you want N64 and Genesis games or that Animal Crossing expansion. Animal Crossing for me, I stopped playing that a long time ago. My island's probably full of weeds.
Rip.
I'm not coming back into there now, I don't think. But for those, I mean, it's got a very thriving community of players still playing. That expansion is probably going to be great for them, and they can make a decision. Either they pay whatever for the expansion or that add-on, what they call it, Happy Home Paradise, or they can just get this online expansion and then get the N64 and Genesis games with it. I have a soft spot for the old N64 games.
Yeah.
So I may pick this up, and then I'll have all 3 consoles and a close to $60. Here it's $50 US. The other two, $60 a year for their online service.
Yeah, and fingers crossed that they're, at some point able to add a Beetle Adventure Racing.
Ooh, now you're talking.
Fantastic racing game.
Very good. Yeah, we don't really see much third-party stuff in there. It looks like it's mostly first-party for Nintendo so far on that 64 list. We shall see. In other news...
That's great. So it's a great start and a great list of, N64 games to start, great list of Genesis games, Now, hopefully these the controllers will be back available to purchase. It seems like everything that has a Nintendo name on it sells out right away, and hopefully people can get their hands on it and really bring that nostalgia, and people pass it down, to the kids and whatnot. And I think this is a great way of doing that online for $49.99 a year. So a lot cheaper than a lot of other subscription services out there, regardless, So it's pretty cool, and good for them to keep adding to it and building on it.
Yeah, throw that on the Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max.
It's right in there.
Yep. The whole world is subscription fees, YouTube Premium. Just give them direct access to my wallet,
Yeah.
Sony Interactive Entertainment, the folks that really kind of run the PlayStation side of things, has seemingly hired former Apple Arcade content boss Nicola Sebastiani to lead the company's new mobile push. This was on Video Games Chronicle, at least that's where I read it. He joined PlayStation in July, following almost 8 years at Apple. During his time at Apple, he served as the head of games business management for the App Store, before eventually being appointed head of content for the company's now subscription service. Here's another one, Apple Arcade.
There you go.
Which I do not spend nearly enough time with because I have all these other consoles. But there is a ton of good games available in Apple Arcade. When I was on vacation a month ago now, I took my iPad and played a bunch of, I was going to take my Switch, put in a little case.
Really?
Yeah, I just fired up the iPad and played a bunch of these Apple Arcade games. It was just it was easier. It was more convenient than having to lug around an extra piece of kit. Like the word I use there, Karl? Kit. I think Karl fell asleep. His eyes are open. It's really scary how he does that.
We had a big birthday weekend, so.
Yeah, I am lagging a little bit.
Nah, you're all right.
So a little bit of background here. Previously, Sony's entertainment boss, or Interactive Entertainment, Jim Ryan, speaking during a Q&A session, he said that the company intends to bring some of its iconic IPs to mobile during its current business year ending in March 2022, following its very successful first steps into the PC market. Here's a quote, "We are beginning our journey to take PlayStation first-party IP off console. We started last year by publishing 2 of our games on PC, Horizon Zero Dawn and Predator, and both were profitable. We really had a very successful publishing debut. We'll continue that in fiscal year 21. We'll continue that beyond in fiscal year 21, which is ending March 2022. We'll begin to publish some of our iconic IPs onto mobile. That will not provide a significant profit flow, but we do anticipate that, whatever, blah, 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 corporate speak, money talk.
Basically.
So they're bringing some of their games, or maybe different versions of those games, to mobile phones, maybe to tablets as well. What do you guys think of this?
It's a great move, and I think that's a great hire. This gentleman was a big part of the mobile gaming rise on the iPhone and the Apple store and whatnot. He's incredibly successful, and probably could not find a better person to get involved if you're going to go the mobile route and expand your IPs into that territory. This is the guy you probably want. Great move, great pickup, and yeah, I think there's a lot of room for them to grow in mobile, whether it be bringing, like Joel said, bringing some some titles to mobile and adapting the controls for a touchscreen, or just having some current IPs more kind of licensed into smaller mobile style games. It's win-win-win. Lots of money to make there, and yeah, you do it right. It's easy money too. Easy money when it comes to mobile games. Even the microtransactions in there. 99 cents at a time. Easy peasy. Lots of money to be made.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't disagree, mate. I think the mobile market in particular just seems to have got a little bit quieter last couple of years. And when you're playing games on Game Pass, for example, and there's a huge selection of the library on Game Pass Ultimate where you can play games with a touchscreen on your phone and all the rest of it, and it works remarkably well for some of them. Obviously, you can choose to have a controller, but there's definitely no reason why you couldn't be putting some of these titles on mobile. And with the pushing to put them on PC as well, I think that's a great move. I don't the more people have a chance to play these games, the better. And I think they just announced as well that God of War is coming to PC as well.
Yeah,
I think
January.
Beginning of next year, and that's great. Like it said, it's run on console. It's had a couple of years, and then obviously the new one's on the horizon. Great way to get that out on PC. PC gamer plays it. Man, I can't wait. Got to get that new console to play instead. So yeah, it's not a bad move from them at all.
And easy money bringing God of War to PC as well, because it's already sold about 20 million copies on PlayStation, on PS4 and whatnot, and just bringing that over at just before the new one launches on PC, it'll definitely do a few more million easily.
Yeah, for sure. And these things are developed on PCs pretty much now, aren't they? So it should be quite an easy job for them to just move it across.
Did you see all the internet fanboys for Sony get some of them get super upset about them bringing that game to PC?
Oh, God.
I don't understand that. I mean, you take a game, make it available to others for others to enjoy. It's like 2 years or 3 years since that game came out, right? That's
exactly.
Why not? Why can't you bring that to PC now? I mean, yeah, you take a check mark out of the only on PlayStation console column, maybe. But a mobile phone market, though, guys, I mean, that's the biggest gaming platform in the world. It far dwarfs our consoles, our favorite consoles. I mean, there's more people playing on mobile phones. My mom plays her games on her mobile phone. I mean, that's a giant market, a giant opportunity. And they're in it for the money, right? So I think they've got a lot of opportunities there. And Karl, you brought up Xbox and that their app and how you can kind of play games from the cloud. I know phones and tablets are getting real powerful these days, but can you play like an Horizon Zero Dawn on the phone? I don't see that being powerful enough to run a game that looks that great on such a beefy console. And it's not, they're not doing the cloud thing. You're not, with Xbox, you connect to their servers through the cloud. Their servers are running that game. It's just pushing that image to your phone. So
it's like the remote play they're doing right now.
Correct.
Because my homie, Mark One Racers always fires it up and whatnot. I'm like, hey man, did you see, in whatever game or whatever, which will remain nameless because we don't talk about that. And he'll just boot it up and like remote play it while his PlayStation's in sleep, and then go in there and look at stuff like. And there he is, as he's in the game and whatnot. As long as you have a solid internet connection, it kind of works great. I know it's a little bit different than the mobile market, but
Yeah, it sounds like Sony's not going that route, right? They're going to just put games out, not do that cloud thing.
Yeah, you're right there, Joel.
At least not yet.
Phones can be pretty beastly. You can run some decent stuff on there. Okay, you couldn't run Forza with the same fidelity that you'd run it on console, but it is a smaller display. You can get some power out of them. So you might not be able to move all games across, but you can certainly move some of them across, particularly older titles, and then obviously indie games and things like that. That don't. A lot of them were mobile games in the first place. I think I'd love to see more kind of integration with the mobile market. And it's been tried before with companion apps for games and things like that. But just if they could have the game within a game, me offline, like if I'm playing an RPG, it would be brilliant if, I don't know, let's say you've got an RPG and it's got a town building or a settlement element. Like, wouldn't it be great if there was a game that was a companion game on the mobile that you could play offline when you're out and about, and you could build your settlement up, you can get your resources together, level up certain things, and then when you get back on the console, it syncs, and things like that. Like, there's got to be a way to do it, and yet you pay a couple of quid for the privilege. Ubisoft have got to be working on this. They like to nickel and dime people,
True.
Ultimately, you pay $7.99 for the mobile game as well, and you move your little Viking around in Assassin's Creed on his little thing on your phone or whatever, and do some stuff there that helps you in the real game. So they can definitely do some. It is an untapped market for a lot of console players. So why not?
Pixel Junk Monsters.
Yeah, which I think they also did have a mobile app game as well.
True.
But
now, could you imagine they threw some of these cheap, easy platinums on there? Because a lot of them basically are mobile games anyway.
True.
Get a bunch of platinums while you're at work.
You're thinking you're going to sign into your PlayStation account in these games, so you can still get those trophies?
I would expect you to be able to, yeah, and kind of tie it into the PlayStation app as well. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
I like both those ideas. That's great. Is this Sony? So let me step back for a moment. Nintendo, they want you to buy their console. You're not playing those Nintendo games anywhere else but on their console. That's their business model. Xbox wants you to buy their Game Pass. Doesn't care necessarily where you play it. If you're playing it on
everything but the console, basically.
If you're
seems like,
well, I think they want to sell the console too, but that's like, if you play those games on PC, they're fine. If you play them on mobile, because you've got Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and you want to play it through the cloud on mobile, they're cool with that too. They really just want you to be on their service. And yeah, they'd love to sell you an Xbox, but they're not. Those games are not tied to that Xbox. You can play them elsewhere.
They're making it more available, more accessible on platforms you already own.
Right. They say it's about the games. That's like their marketing. It's about the gamer, I think, is what their marketing is. Play these games anywhere. So very different business models. Nintendo, you have to have our console. Xbox is like, we don't care if you have our console, just sign up for our service. What does this mean for Sony when you start to see this type of thing happening with mobile games? Does this, because right now Sony is, you need our console except on a couple games on PC. But they, as far as the consoles go, they're the most popular amongst gamers that we're around, and probably listeners of this show, because of the first party content and the exclusive games you can get on PlayStation are, we've all talked about, are probably superior to some of the first party offerings by Microsoft so far. We'll see where Microsoft and all these new studios they own, where that heads. But is this Sony trying to become more like Xbox, trying to get their games in other places so they can make money off their games? Or like Karl said, is it going to be more, or the example Karl shared, more like here's an app that you can add to the game experience. It's not the game itself. That's kind of what I think Sony might do is, yeah, there's a Horizon on a mobile, but it's not the Horizon you can play on the PlayStation. It's some offshoot.
100%.
Like what Microsoft did with Gears. They put Gears of War Pop on mobile. That's nothing like a Gears of War game, but it had the name Gears of War.
But it's
a completely different experience, more tailored to mobile and tablet. That's what I would expect Sony to do, but who the hell knows what they're thinking? If they want to get more involved with getting their games out there everywhere like Xbox is doing. They don't seem to be pushing a service like Xbox is, so they're very different that way. But this has me curious. What does this mean to that larger picture future of PlayStation? Or does it not have any impact on that at all?
Would like to think that the big AAA, AA, even the single A PlayStation, first party titles continue to be exclusive to the console. And then after, say, a couple of years, then they come over to PC or whatever. I think the mobile aspect, just like Joel said, something like, the Gears of War Pop, just different offshoots of the franchise into mobile market where it's more adapted to those type of controls where it works well, because that's where it comes down to. And that's why people do play mobile games or they don't play mobile games, is when it comes to the controls. And if they just keep it to like little offshoots of, existing franchise and whatnot, they can have some serious home runs there. But I think Ford keep, the exclusives to that, to the console. You have to keep, your console your first priority. In my opinion, that's what I like to see. And I like the way Nintendo's doing it. This is where you have to play them. And I really do like that. And I respect that, for a company, greatly.
Yeah, it feels to me like they're just dipping their toes in the water a little bit, just getting some experienced body in there and saying, right, you've got all this behind you. You've got, you've got the IPs, you've got the infrastructure. Just see what you can do with it, and I think we'll soon find out over the next kind of 18 months or so what they think they can do with it, whether it's standalone games or companion apps or games or whatever it might be.
And they're also really diving into motion pictures and whatnot for games, the adaptations. We just got the Uncharted trailer this past week that came out as whatnot. There's also the Twisted Metal TV series that's coming, which is confirmed that they're working on as well. And it's a great way to tie in some mobile games into that. They're being really quiet about kind of what they're doing and whatnot, but you start to piece these little things, and you get a good picture of them strengthening the brand and whatnot.
Yeah, you've got some big names, those first-party exclusives that they have that are so popular, like God of War and Uncharted, Last of Us, Horizon. If just those names carry tremendous opportunity on a cell phone or a tablet. If Sony says, we have a new God of War and you can play it on your iPhone, people will be like, oh my God, Sony, I love Sony. I love God of War. I'm going to go check out that app. And they sell it to you for $3 or something, or $5 or $10. Even if it's not the same experience you've come to love with God of War, it's God of War. It's on my phone. I'm excited about it. And I think the other way too, you can maybe introduce someone who is unfamiliar with Horizon Zero Dawn. They discover the phone app, the game, like it, realize that they need a PlayStation because they want to play the other version of the game, the main version, if you will. I think
tied into like some 3D platformer or whatever. People get something familiar, a familiar type of gameplay that people are accustomed to. And yeah, you could really draw them into, certain franchises. Totally.
I noticed when I logged into Genshin Impact actually the other day that Aloy was in the game.
Yes.
Oh, really?
It just dropped in there. I was like, oh, okay. Not sure when that happened. So I think they are trying to put their IPs on, just spread the word as much as they can, And there's so many opportunities. When I think about a God of War, and I know I'm going on about a companion app thing again, but imagine like God of War the game, and then on your phone you've got something like a little Hades kind of game you can play it on with a touchscreen or whatever, and you can play through that and level up your weapons. Like just I want to level up my my whatever it might be, and then you could just do it in there, and it might cost you $5 or whatever. But little things like that, and I think they need to connect everything to the infrastructure the way that Microsoft has done it. You log in and you're earning points, and you're on about Gears Pop there, Joel. You earned achievements from it. It was connected to the Xbox, your gamer tag and all the rest of it. Yep. There's no reason Sony can't do something similar if they've got someone who can work there with the Infinite. You can see a Sony movie, just log it on your app, maybe get some points, or maybe get some cash in your wallet or something. They can link it all together to encourage that cross-pollination between their own brands and their own kind of products,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I'd be very curious to see how this turns out. I do think it needs to be a standalone game. I mean, I like the companion app. When I started this podcast in 2012, there were a ton of companion app stuff going. There's a lot going on. I think it was Assassin's Creed Black Flag, maybe, where you had like the app had the map, and games were really embracing back then the companion app. And I thought it was a great idea. It was so cool to have an app with your game map kind of next to you as you're playing the actual game. But there hasn't been a whole lot of that. It seems like it's fallen out of favor I'm not sure if this is headed that way. I mean, I'd love that. I wish that would have become a much bigger thing. So I think that's really cool. We all have phones now. All of it. I mean, everyone has a cell phone. Why not have your game map tied to your cell phone? So just so you can have a second screen, make things a little bit more convenient. Or in an RPG or an action game, change your weapon layout on your phone, and it immediately impacts your game. And that would be sweet. Rather than going into like a menu on your controller, be able to quickly change your load up before the next match in Halo or whatever. I love that idea. But I think what Sony's probably going to do is probably going to be more standalone games. I think they're going to, if they're investing in an Apple Arcade gentleman to come join them, they want to sell you a game you can play that isn't just a companion app.
Do you not think there's and I'm only talking from my own experience and
of course,
experience of my friends and all the rest of it, but do you not think there's a reluctance from adults to pay money for mobile games, right?
100%.
So, and I think that's the hurdle they've got to get over. Because if I'm going to put something on my phone for whatever reason, like if I'm going on a long commute or something, I'll have a look, see what's free. I don't want to pay money for a mobile game because I know I'm going to play it for a really short amount of time. Whereas obviously the kids, the early teenagers and stuff, they're like, right, it doesn't matter how much the game costs or how much you have to pay to unlock skins or anything else. Like it's a different kind of mindset. But I think there's a barrier there. You're going to pay £8 for a cool game on the console, little indie game, got some trophies on it, whatever, got some achievements. But you're probably not going to pay £8 for that same game on a mobile phone.
Very true. Yeah, I think a lot of mobile gaming is add-ons, right? Like the game is free, but then if you want to get some different weapons, or I don't do a lot of whole mobile gaming, but I know the kids do a lot of that, and the kids get the free games. And then once they're completely hooked in the game, then they probably say, "Hey, Mom, Dad, I'd like
to buy
some
diamonds."
Yep, I'd like to get some in-game currency or something. Give me $5. My way off base, Karl. You got a young son.
Yeah, but he's really good. He never asks to buy in-game currency or anything.
Right.
Like he just plays the games. He's not too fussed about the cosmetics. And this is Rocket League, in which case he likes the cosmetics, but plays the game so much you can trade for whatever he wants anyway. But I do, and again, now that we've got cryptocurrency coming into video gaming and stuff like that, and you've got games which are you play and you earn the while you're playing the games and things like that, something on your phones. Again, there's lots of ways to get people hooked into those ecosystems without actually having to spend a lot of real money, and they just put their time in. And then once they put the time in, it creates its own marketplace within the game, which people can then, if they choose to buy the currency or whatever, they can do that. As long as it's got the hook, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Sony's looking to make a buck with this, right? They wouldn't be hiring this big shot guy from Apple Arcade if they weren't looking to, especially if they're moving some of their IPs. Jim Ryan said we're moving some of our famous IPs over to mobile.
Right.
So that's a great point. I don't know if they're going to make it free to play and then just sell you some stuff in the game, get you hooked. Then you feel like you got to buy some, or if they're going to charge you. But that's a big hurdle. Good point. That discussion was way more than I thought it would be. I thought we had a pretty light news segment there, but we kind of, ABOG style, took that into a nice long conversation. I'd be curious to see what Sony does. I think it's a good idea for them to dip their toes in all the waters.
Yep. Sorry,
crazy fanboys who get upset that they brought your game to the PC. Sorry.
Right. And it only brings more perspective.
It brings more players. It gets let other people have an opportunity to play that game. Why is that a bad thing?
And it broadens the feedback as well.
Yeah.
Because there's no shortage of, PlayStation, Sony feedback.
You can't even buy a PlayStation right now.
What?
You can't.
Oh.
They're sold out everywhere.
No comment.
Like PlayStation 5s, you can't get one of those.
Sure.
What do you mean? What, you got like a secret stash? You get
right
by your SNES in your closet. You got a pile of PlayStation. Are you one of those assholes, Shane? You get something you got to fess up to?
I should be, man. If they weren't like $700, I probably would. But no, I've actually found a few, and I've been able to find them for others as well.
You're kidding me?
No.
I
found one for my homie
in the store.
Sure.
Online, right?
No, actually, all right, I'm going to say it. Our good friends at Willow Games in Langley, British Columbia.
Shut up, really?
Whoa.
Yeah.
They've
gotten like small stock and whatnot, and have put things out there, and locally have been, I've found and helped 2 friends get them.
Shane, the
So they're
PlayStation
out
5
there.
Whisperer. I love this.
Ooh. No.
Yeah.
Just, you just got to be woke, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know what that means.
Let's not go there.
True. Yeah, no, I'm always looking. Because I know, people that are always, still haven't been able to get one. So I just,
I
I
love
wouldn't
it.
mind a spare one for downstairs, to be fair.
noted.
If I pick one up.
Yeah.
Well, there's something I could just move the PS4 Pro downstairs, I suppose, in theory.
What?
Well, it's heavy.
Leave that down there.
You carry that down the stairs, old man.
Right?
I mean,
Won't even fit out of the atrium there.
you lost a
Yeah,
point in
yeah,
your
probably.
strength. Yeah, I wouldn't be carrying that heavy thing.
Yeah. Especially, I'm not carrying the PS5 anymore. That's a young man's job.
It's got a dolly.
Let's get on to what we're drinking, and then after that,
Sure.
lots of games to talk about. I'll go first. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this, and I don't think I've ever talked about it on the show before, but 1840 Brewing.
Okay.
Yeah. You got this
18 what?
1840 Brewing. It's out of
40. Okay.
18
Yeah, from Toledo, Ohio.
1840 out of Bayview, Wisconsin. It's a little downtown, kind of near Milwaukee. This Creepfunk Haze is the name of the beer.
Ooh.
It's double IPA. It is Citra, Strata, and Lotus hops, 8%. This is a beer that they did in collaboration with a band, local band out of Madison, Wisconsin, called Steez, Steez.
Okay.
Really cool, like funky instrumental, almost polyrhythmics, sort of, kind of like. Not really, but that's the only frame of reference I can really kind of draw just to share with my boys here. Look them up on Bandcamp. It's called Steez, Steez. But they had, I'm assuming the guy at 1840, Kyle, is a big fan of that band or something, and kind of made this beer inspired by that band. So they call it the Creepfunk Haze because they're kind of a funk band. Very
It's
good.
very Halloweeny.
Yeah, it is kind of Halloweeny, isn't it? It is also, it's got that pot smell to it. You guys ever have one of those beers that kind of has the skunky kind of marijuana smell?
Mm-hmm.
That's what
No
this,
idea what that smells like.
sure. That's what this smells like. Got a little skunky smell to it. It's very good. Nice and thick, as a double IPA should be. It's excellent.
Ooh.
So I got 8 of
Looks
these.
tasty.
Just came out a couple weeks ago. Picked my bottles up a couple nights ago, and looked through a fridge full of all sorts of varieties of beer from
Nice.
other fantastic breweries. And rather than promoting the other breweries, I figured I'll share 1840. Really kind of, like I always do. Very, I'm getting really boring, right?
The breweries are available.
I'm really getting boring, but I just love my 1840. Those are my boys. It's my,
That's the thing,
it's
right?
my crew.
Yeah. I traveled from here to there,
Wow.
from there to here again, and acquired a hazy pale ale from our good friends at Yellow Dog Brewing. And this is their Squirrel Chaser,
Ooh,
5.2%.
weak.
Cool, just kind of generic can that they do with all their labels and whatnot. Nothing too fancy there, but they brew some pretty tasty beer. And I actually went in looking for a new beer that got recommended to me, and they were sold out. So I bought 4 of these instead, and they're very good. Just a good hazy pale ale. Can't go wrong. Tasty, not overly bitter, just right. And yeah, tasty. It's fresh hop season apparently, which is apparently some sort of deal now, like a big deal. People are commenting, they're questioning and asking, if I'm getting those fresh hop beers and whatnot. I
Like the wet hops.
yeah, I think they also call them wet hops as well, but
Yep, like straight off the plant rather than being kind of dried up.
something like that. Yes, but
Mm-hmm.
we're drinking a little hazy pale ale today, right? It's tasty.
Yeah, raising my glass for those that can't watch on video. The color is a little darker than mine.
Yes.
A little darker, but also
Yeah,
very
it's
not clear.
little bit more of a West Coasty kind of color to it, where it's kind of like that dark amber-ish.
It does.
Just like Palmer. Dark and amber.
Oh.
Yeah, what do you got? What do you got, long hair? What's in your glass over there, Karl?
Well, long hair. I thought twice about this after the performance on Friday night, but I haven't got a vocation brew this week. This is for Purity, which is a brewery over in Warwickshire, not too far from me, and they do a load of good brews. They've been going a little while now. It's the stuff is brewed on like a working farm. It's pretty cool.
Ooh.
But I think it might have been last season or the season before they became the official beer of Aston Villa. So
What?
Purity Pale Ale is the official brew of the Villa, and you can get it at the ground and stuff. And there were rumours of cans of it. I'd never been able to find one until I went out for lunch on Saturday. I managed to score a couple of these little beauties, so you might be able to see.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
It's pretty cool, right?
It's got
Just the cameras with a blue sticker on it, but yeah, it's got the line on there. Very cool. So I managed to score a couple of these. It's only 4.2%. It's just a really fresh and swiggable, nice brew.
All right, folks
Not
at
too
home.
thick.
This is so like he Palmer. I don't want to say he's been slacking the past few shows with his beer and whatnot, because he hasn't. He's brought it every single episode, but this is something else, man. You just upped the game.
Yeah, I was chuffed to find some of these actually. You know, they're not cheap for the size of the cans. The cans are ditty, like, you know, actual size. But yeah, it's just it's a nice, smooth, fresh brew. Really decent little pint. So and you can, it's 4.2%. So it's pretty much non-alcoholic. So you can just pound through these. You know, you're fine to drive.
Whoa, no.
The only thing you should do driving is listen to ABOG.
Here.
True.
Listen to us. Have a few too many drinks. No, 4.2. That's brilliant. Good session. You know, drink and whatnot. So, would you grab a couple flats of that, or you know?
Yeah, just a few cans. To be fair. So yeah, just we sort of got a load of beers in the fridge, but yeah, I couldn't resist. I had to grab a couple of these. And you know, when you drink like some real strong beers, and you want to sober yourself up through the course of the afternoon. You know, you can move on to this. You know, the weaker stuff. But yeah, very good brews.
Nice.
We'll raise them glasses. Happy birthday, Karl.
Oh,
cheers, bud.
Boys.
The birthday boy. Where did he go? Up the villa.
Call you old, but I'm older, so I won't.
Thanks for that.
Right.
We've got some games to talk about here. First of all, before we get to the two games we're going to talk about, NHL 22 and Golf Club Wasteland, which I'm really curious to hear about because I've never heard of it. Shane, you installed something in your PlayStation 5. Did you throw a pizza in there? What'd you do? What'd you shove on that PlayStation 5?
Might as well. They unlocked the ability to install a second internal expansion SSD. That came out a couple months ago, and I was like kind of hesitant. I'm going to wait a bit and kind of see. But yeah, everybody's been really impressed with the performance and whatnot, and how easy it is to install and everything, which is great. And I had an SSD in mind for the longest time. I wanted that Western Digital, the SN850, and I want to go with the 2 terabyte, which is not necessarily cheap, but for a couple of 2 terabyte would be plenty to last me throughout this life cycle.
Yeah, right.
Well, and then you also have the 600 and something gigs in the internal as well. So combined, at least a good 2.5 terabytes, it will be plenty.
For now, those games get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, but with the download speeds now, I have no problem deleting games off and then just re-downloading them later because it's so quick and easy, which is actually leading me towards buying a lot more digital games than physical. But yeah, exactly, right. It's good stuff. So yeah, found Western Digital SN850 at a pretty good price. It did not include, it's not the version with the heatsink, it's just the standalone SSD. So I did have to purchase a little heatsink to go with it. Installation for somebody who knows nothing about this stuff and only watched a handful of YouTube videos, super simple, super easy. If I can do it, anybody can do it. When you start diving into specs and all that stuff, it can get pretty complicating and intimidating even. You know, people may not want to go that route, but it is actually really simple. You know, there's a handful of drives that are highly recommended. This is one of them. The Samsung 950 Pro is another one that's been highly rated as well. But yeah, you get your little heatsink, get your thermal pads, you know, tiny little screws that you lose in the carpet. It's great, super easy. Slide that bad boy in, and yeah, you're good to go. You know, it formats, and you have that whole extra expansion in there. You can even set for, you know, your PS5 games when they download directly to that. I have noticed with MLB The Show is actually loading faster, and the menus are a lot more snappier now that it's running on the expansion SSD I installed, and I've seen that in a couple other games as well. It seems to be running a little bit faster and whatnot. So a little bit of a nice perk. You know, I know there's also some games that don't run quite as fast as they would on the proper internal that actually is on the board in the PS5. I don't know how to kind of really label that, but I'll just call it the internal. But yeah, so it was fun install, fun and expensive install, but I was going to have to do it eventually because that 600 gigs that you come with on the internal, that is going to get loaded up pretty quick, especially when a year after the console's out, now we're getting titles like Battlefield 2042 that's coming out, and you know that's going to be at least 100 gigs, probably well over. I'm expecting, you know, 120, 150 even. You got Gran Turismo coming out in the spring in March. You know that ain't going to be a small game either. So, you know, bit the bullet. Took one for the team. I don't know what team, but yeah. So it was a lot of fun installing, and yeah, I got some room for a few more games so I can install more stuff that I'm not going to play.
Nice. Is there like a port on the side of what is the install involved? I mean, without going into too much detail, you don't have to take the whole console apart, do you? Is there a spot that you just like ready to stick it in?
Completely re-engineer the entire console? No.
Right. Solder gun and everything?
Basically your console goes upside down. You kind of lift it one corner and that bottom panel slides off.
Okay.
Once that slides off, there's a little kind of rectangular strip of metal cover. You unscrew that, comes off, and that exposes the expansion slot. Okay. There's a little screw in there with a little spacer because the SSD and the heatsink doesn't actually sit flat. It actually kind of sits a little bit raised. So you got that little spacer in there, and you plug it in on the angle. You know, slowly lower it down, screw it in, tighten it down, put the expansion cover back over top, which is highly recommended. There's people out there that are not putting that back on. Not a good idea. Sony highly recommends you to install it back the way it's supposed to be. And yeah, when you put your cover back on, snaps back into place. A little bit scary when you first kind of, because it's got like these weird, you know, when plastic snaps, it's like, one of those where it's just a little bit loud and unexpected. It'll do that, but it's perfectly fine. It does that. It's meant to do that. But yeah, it's a lot easier than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be when they first announced what they were doing, because of the fact that there are so many specs that the SSD needs to meet in order to run properly on the PS5. But yeah, it's pretty simple. So the Western Digital, like I said, the SN850 is the one I used. Highly recommend. It's a great one to look at. I'm sure there's cheaper options out there, but when it comes to this stuff, when you're spending, you know, a few $100 and whatnot, you want to go with the best, you know. So highly recommend. Easy to do. Have fun. Don't break your consoles. Don't email me.
Yeah. Otherwise, Shane will sell you a new one because he's got a whole closet full of them. So the UI, does it how does the system handle you having another drive in there? Is everything on your dashboard the same, and it just knows to go to those alternate locations to access the game, or do you have to tell the system, I want to play a game off of that drive, and then it exposes those games? Or is it sort of user-friendly? You don't have to think about it. It just, the system knows. Like the Xbox, for example, I have the little plug-in additional memory. It's almost like a card you plug in the back, and I don't have to know anything about anything. The system understands that there's an extra bit in there, and it just uses it when it needs to. I don't have to tell it to go look at that. It's seamless. How does the PlayStation handle an external drive?
Almost identical without knowing how the kind of UI on the Xbox is, but it automatically knows there. You can go into your storage in the settings and whatnot, and it has it kind of broken out into the internal console storage, the M.2 SSD expansion that you've just installed, and then as well as if you have an external for your PS4 games, it's all there, and you can bounce stuff in between them. But as far as going on the dash and actually playing the games, it's just right there. The PS5 games that know it, boom, and it's up and running.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
So, but it's nice that they give you that option. You can move stuff, in between, for whatever reason you want to, and also to set it so that way. When you download PS5 games, it can go automatically to the console storage or the expansion.
So it's like a default setting. You choose which one by default. You download a game, it's going to automatically go to your default setting. But
and you can change that at any point as well.
But you have the capability to then move them around.
Yep, 100%.
Sounds pretty similar to what the Xbox is doing.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, good times. All
right. Shane just talked for a while. Karl, you want to take a turn here? Golf Club Wasteland, and then we'll let Shane talk about NHL 22. Finally on the Frostbite Engine.
Two stick-based games, of course.
There you go.
Yeah, Golf Club Wasteland is one of those it came out on Steam. What was it? Like, June or July, something like early on this year. Really intrigued. I didn't pick it up because it was going to come to console a bit later, and grabbed it on PlayStation last month. I think it was end of last month, and finally got around to playing it. So it's one of those I just love the aesthetic of it. It's basically a kind of almost you're looking at it like it's a platform game. It's side on, if you know what I mean. And then you control your little astronaut man, and you have to hit the ball into the hole. Very, very simple, straightforward. But all the levels are various puzzle elements to them, in terms of avoiding obstacles and everything else. The whole world is basically shot to hell. The premise of the game is that humankind has pretty much been wiped out on Earth. The privileged few all fled to Mars and started living up there on started a new colony of humans. And now people come back to Earth to play around a golf, in the wasteland that is, the post-apocalyptic world. It's done really, really cleverly though, because part of the things that attracted me to this was the music. The audio on the game is phenomenal. You want to turn it up. It plays a variety of really chill, like indie artists, and it's got a great vibe to it. And it also tells the story of your character. You've kind of come back to Earth and you're playing one final round of golf. But it tells the story. It's kind of like a narrative game in the fact that every time you finish a hole in one of the levels, there's a tiny little strip of narrative that tells a story of this kind of child, if you like, who's telling his story from the point of view of what happened when they were abandoned and left on Earth. The rich kind of buggered off, left everyone to fight for themselves. He was kind of a bit of an albino, a bit of a mutant born, mother died. It kind of tells a story from his perspective, and he's watching you play the round of golf, and you're coming back from Mars to play this round of golf. So while that story is running, and it talks a lot about your own history and the character and his story, as well as the child's story as well, if you know what I mean. But while that's happening, you're listening to a radio station on Mars playing all these tunes from Earth to make you feel better, and then there's real voice acting from people telling their own stories about what happened. Global warming went ridiculous. They all had to flee the planet, and it's individual people's accounts of what went on. It all ties together really, really well. It's a very clever game, and it's really, really pretty aesthetically. Just a simple color palette, really, really straightforward, but really tightly done. Very, very bright and colorful. It's really fun to play. Like, I'm really enjoying it, and like listening to what you're being told as you're playing. It's a really important part of it. It helps the story. You feel like it's a story that's moving along, but you're not actually having to do anything to get the story. You're kind of absorbing it while you're playing. And when a lot of these games, when you're failing to make shots, and you're like, oh God, I've got to do this shot again, or if you can't get past a particular hole, it kind of stops you thinking about the repetition. So although you can fail a few times, your ball's going off into different hazards and stuff. The fact that you've got the story kind of going along, and you're paying attention to what you're being told, it kind of just makes you forget about that. And then if you make a few too many bad shots, it gives you the option to skip that level completely and continue the narrative experience. So you haven't got to worry about getting stuck and never being able to get past it. And it doesn't really penalise you for that. I haven't found I've skipped 1 or 2 levels. It's not. I don't feel like it's made me enjoy the game any less. I think you can go back and replay those and unlock a couple of the diary parts, which is basically what this albino kid is talking about. But yeah, really fascinating little game. It's made by the ABOG studio. I think it's their first game. The first time I've heard of the studio, but you can pick it up on PS4, Steam, PC, Xbox. It's out on everything. It's just very clever. Like, I'm really, really enjoying it. It paints this picture of like this planet that obviously we're all heading towards with global warming. Well, I know, unless it's fake, who knows? We all know. So you find that you're in this position where there's like on the one level you've got to get past a cow, and the cow has got like radioactive udders.
Nice.
and if the ball goes anywhere near him, he'll eat the ball, and things like that. Like it's very cute. It's very cool. Very clever little game.
And that art style that they used and whatnot adds so much charm to it.
It does.
As soon as you see, I highly recommend it. At least go and take a look at this game, watch the trailer or whatnot, because it looks incredible. It looks really, really, really cool. The way it's not quite cartoony, but it just has that really kind of unique art style to it. And you've seen that the same kind of style in a few other games that have been great as well. And this one just gonna need to find a little birdie juice there, eh, Palmer? A little swing oil,
yes,
as they say.
And, there's plenty of trophies that pop up, and as you're playing through, there's little things, like little things hidden in levels. You need to try and get those to get a couple of trophies and things like that. I don't think it's got a platinum, but it's not a game you're going to play for the trophies particularly. And the main character is, it's just a dude in an orange spacesuit, but there's a certain weight to it. Like, it's almost like you can feel his kind of it's his last trip to Earth, to one last game. Damn. And there's a certain heaviness and a weight to him, and though I convey it with his tiny little character, it's done ever so well. It really is.
Nice.
So I'm intrigued. He's sold me on it. Sounds pretty cool.
Right. A little spiff on there for you.
Right, and probably how Karl's feeling right now, having aged to the ripe old 43. He's like, this might be my last swan song.
Ooh.
I mean, what I would say as well, it's a perfect pick up and play game. Like, you can literally play for 5-10 minutes and then bounce. Like, if you've got something you need to do,
those are the best.
Literally press the PlayStation button or your Xbox button, close the game down. It just picks up straight where you were. So yeah, super pick up and play. Very, very chill, relaxing game.
Sweet. Sounds pretty good. Speaking of subscription services and just throwing your money at whatever forever, Shane, you picked up NHL 22.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, my annual purchase.
Yep.
Since back to 92, 93 every year.
There you go.
Pre-ordered since 92.
Pretty much. Might as well have been.
Where did you buy the 92 version? What store?
Oh, I can't remember, man. I think I got it for Christmas or something. I would always get them like for Christmas for like the first few years up until like, I don't know, 96, 97. Then I started saving up my coins.
Yeah, I suppose in 92 you were like, what, 3 years old?
Yeah.
No, joking. You're younger than us, but not that young.
True. No cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, they finally added, starting to use the Frostbite engine, which is well known for sports games.
So first year though, Frostbite engine. The last couple like games from EA that used the Frostbite engine the first year kind of struggled, right? To get everything kind of. It took a year or two in a new. It always does though. You switch engines on a long running sports games. It takes a little while to get that engine running superbly.
Yeah. And that was their reason for not implementing it earlier, is that they wanted to have a lot of the bugs out with Madden. And you know how the first year of Frostbite with Madden wasn't very good, as well as FIFA, which was better. NHL has it's got its issues with the new engine because it's not really a sports style. It wasn't designed for sports.
Well, it better be. They're putting all their damn sports games in that engine,
right? Like it looks good though. Like it actually.
Yeah, but you need it. But you need a game to play well more than you need it to look good.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not like they haven't had the time and the experience, right?
Exactly. That's why we use a FPS engine like Frostbite. Yeah, so it definitely it's got some issues.
I bet. I would expect that.
But I mean, it gets ironed. That stuff gets ironed out eventually. And you know what? As somebody who's been playing NHL for this long, there's issues every year. You know, there's always EA Sports. It's the same game. That's a poor. I can do a lot better than that, but I'll do it one other day. But yeah, hey, you know what? At least they finally made that step. It's not like, you know, a massive difference visually, but the lighting makes a big difference. A lot of the colors, you know, the reflectiveness is a lot more bolder, and it's a good first step into getting into next gen, because the game has looked almost the same throughout its entire PS4, Xbox One life cycle. It looked the same. There was barely any improvements graphically. So it is nice to see this jump, and it's a good first step going forward. It needed to be done eventually. You know, now's the time. And they put it in there, and it's good. It looks good. There's little improvements gameplay wise that, you know, need to be done. They've kind of had really good gameplay for a while. It's just kind of slowly getting some of the bugs out over the years. But it's more than clear that it's an EA title, and they're going to focus on the HUT aspect, the Hockey Ultimate Team, where you use your real money to purchase cards and build your team. And that's where they make all their improvements.
That's lame.
You know, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. You're buying a title for $80 or $90, whatever it is in Canada right now, for a next gen game, and that their focus isn't on you spending $80-$90 on the game. Their focus is on somebody who wants to build the ultimate team.
The next $80 or $90 on top of that. And therefore, you know, that's where they seem to be making the most additions to the title. You know, it's kind of, it's weird. It's like they got like the gameplay down for the most part. Like it's a good quality game of puck. Sure. It is actually. It is a really good game of hockey. But it's like they have this weird kind of crossroads where, because they've really gotten that down, and you can have like a really good simulation style hockey experience, yet all the colors and paint on it and the scoreboards and all the stuff is just much more of an arcadey experience. And I wish that there's a way to kind of tone that down and just have like a more simulation broadcast type of experience when playing this game for a lot of us that don't really play a whole lot of Ultimate Team. You know, I dabble into Ultimate Team 100%. I have paid and bought extra, shit to open packs and build a decent Ultimate Team because there's other modes tied into that I really enjoy. Right. So guilty as charged. I'm definitely a person who has spent, microtransactions. I have in a lot of games. Come on. We all have at some point dabbled into it. It's there. It's unfortunately become part of the experience. But when a game is mainly, or when a team is focused more of their attention to that, like, and everything else in the game kind of looks the same. Mind you, they've updated menus and whatnot, but there's little things that's like, dude, if I showed you a screenshot between this and 2 years ago, you'd be like, it's the same damn game, But they made the move to Frostbite, which I've been crying about for years that needed to happen ever since I saw FIFA use it, and it looks brilliant in FIFA. Are now leaving EA, and the team that builds FIFA is not going to be making their game for EA anymore.
Why do we not have this in our news? Did you just drop this now at the end of the show? What are you talking about?
Wait, what? Whoa!
I didn't hear about this.
The bombshell.
What?
Wait, but hold on a second. Before you go there, is this a good game? I'm totally, honestly, dude, I don't know if you like.
It's a good game.
It is. Do you like this game?
It is. Yeah, I do like the game. I have been enjoying it, and I am looking forward to starting my season and just getting in there and just streaming and shooting the shit and just having fun with it.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to do. And it's going to be good.
Cool.
Like all of these EA sports games, wait for a sale. Unless you're like me and you're a big Madden fan or a big FIFA fan, you got to have the new FIFA's coming out, and you're that passionate about the sport and the experience of that playing video games. They usually come down or on a sale within a couple months, and you can pick them up for like $40 or whatever. Then me, that's the right price point to pick up a lot of these games.
Okay.
But it is a good game of puck.
So it sounds like
would say from Band of Gamers.
It sounds like they took what they've had in the past, moved it over to Frostbite Engine. They've set themselves up for a potentially bright future using the new engine, but it sounds like it's the same game. I'm just trying to summarize what you said. So it kind of sounds like it's the same game as you've had the last couple of years. Now in the new engine, it runs pretty much the same. It feels pretty much the same. So they're successful in transferring it to the new engine and having
100%.
it not be weird or not like having to do different controls and still feel as fluid as it has in the past. But they have yet to leverage the new engine to its fullest extent. You're kind of looking at another year or two. That's
100%.
That's kind of how Madden did it too. It's like they even like the animations for tackling, everything was exactly the frickin' same until a couple years later with the Frostbite. And admittedly, I haven't bought Madden in a couple years.
Yeah.
Pat myself on the back. I've avoided it.
Yeah, you were just like myself. I remember, years ago.
It's supposed to be
a long time ago on ABOG, Karl.
I read the reviews. It sounds like a buggy mess. That's right.
The one thing that is really cool is with the PlayStation 5, the DualSense controller. They do utilize it.
Oh, nice.
The haptic feedback, aka the rumble, is actually really well done, where you can almost feel, the strides of, the skates through the ice and whatnot. The speaker on the controller is probably utilized the most, where hitting the post, shots going off the glass echoes through the controller, and it actually, I got a surround sound system and whatnot. Like, boys, come on. But just having that through the controller, along with a bit of the haptic feedback, it's so much more immersive. And it's just little stuff like that clank off the post and just hearing it come through the controller, and players yelling at each other, cover it up, more here. Little stuff like that. Like it's a lot more immersive. So they've definitely done, a lot of good, this year. But like Joel, summarized, it's another year or two, and I think they hopefully are really hitting their stride with the new engine and the series going forward. But
You'll be there to let us know.
true. But yeah, FIFA's leaving EA. Yeah,
I didn't
pretty
know that.
wild.
The FIFA name business.
They don't know what they're gonna call it, but the team isn't doing it for EA anymore after all these years.
How does that happen?
Yeah, I don't know, man. You know what? We'll have to, maybe a little bit of a cliffhanger for the folks.
You better
Pretty crazy.
You better do some research and throw that in the next episode because I want to hear.
Yeah.
I want to hear about this
Yeah, let's do it.
more in detail.
So yeah, enjoy your games, eh?
Yeah. Well, good episode.
Shocked.
If you're still awake, we appreciate you.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Thanks for
'Cause
listening.
hockey.
Yeah, not because of hockey. I'm just being sarcastic. I don't know the hell I meant by that. Looking over here at my boy Karl, who looks like he's about birthdayed out. He's got a big day tomorrow.
Right.
He looks like he's right in between birthdayed out and big day tomorrow. I think that's my. I think,
I just don't like the commute to the office anymore. Like when you work from home, you just get so used to being at home, getting up and walking to your computer. It's a lot easier to get to work at 7:00 when it's in the next room.
way easier, right?
Don't have to worry about somebody, in the shitter or anything.
Very true. Well, especially when you got a couple of them.
Right? You can heat up your tilapia and
I don't even know what that is.
It's a fish.
it's not very good. I don't like it.
It's not it's kind of a farmed fish, not necessarily a natural fish.
True.
Yeah.
But genetically engineered.
Kind of.
Pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's no halibut.
Delicious.
Covered in soy sauce and
And everything else to make it taste like fish.
yeah.
I
Better than trout though.
I don't eat fish, so I have no clue.
Facts.
Wow. I do like a bit of fish.
Same.
Sea bass. Sea bass is great.
See,
Right? Kick his ass.
Kick his ass, sea bass.
All right.
Kick my ass.
You guys are the best. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. I think we're back in 2 weeks unless we have a vacation. I don't know. We just roll with the punches now. Karl, are you there next week? We good in 2 weeks?
Yes, I shall be at Damnation Festival on the Saturday, but I'll have recovered for something.
Yeah.
Damnation Festival.
Damnation. Yeah.
Nice.
It's like a one-day metal festival up in Leeds at the university.
How many metal festivals do you have? My goodness.
Loads of them.
It's like every other weekend you got a metal festival.
Well, he lives in the home.
At the home of
metal.
heavy metal.
Yeah, Birmingham is the birthplace of Black Sabbath and metal, right?
Yeah, the Beatles kind of invented metal, though.
What?
Ticket to Ride, man.
Ticket to Ride?
First heavy metal song.
You heard it here first.
I am completely puzzled by that comment.
Next month on Disney Plus.
Haters gonna hate, but
All right, I'll go. Okay.
all right.
Wow.
I just waved. That's how off fucking. I'm just so confused right now. All right, bye. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Remember when the Admirals had the Brewers logo on their jerseys?
Okay, now this bizarro world has to end, Shane.
Actually,
I thought we'd
true,
already
they did.
ended.
I haven't hit stop yet.
I'm writing a heavy metal song.
I haven't hit stop yet. I'm still going.
Oh, I know. But yeah, they had the little Brewer
All
logo
right.
on the chest, little crest.
They did. Yep. Waiting for the Packers to put the Bucks logo on their jerseys and just complete the whole fucking bizarro circle.
Yeah, but then everybody would think they're the Edmonton Elks.
True.
That's
why they haven't done
finally
it.
got one you guys
Yeah.
say true. Let's go.